Oh, you mad? Bitch, you hot. Jump in the freezer. Wow. Got you. Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. Make sure y'all like, comment, and subscribe to this video. Let's get into it. Look at this wig. This is an old wig from my client. She wants me to put it on a new cap. So I'm gonna take all of this off of this old cap right here, and I'm gonna put it on a new cap. So let's go ahead and get into it. Alrighty, so what am I doing here? I am cutting off this goddamn lace. Well, actually this closure off of the cap. So what I'm doing is starting with cutting the wires, not the wires, the thread. You see the thread little pieces? You want to make sure you kind of like pulling them, and then making sure that you're cutting the thread so you don't cut the track itself. So after you cut, and it's gonna get loose once you cut some of them. Once it's loose or whatever, once you see it's becoming loose and you see that it's coming off by itself, let it come off by itself, child. Let it come off by itself. Okay, let it come off by itself. And then when you see that you can't pull no more where it's not loose, you need to cut. You need to pull enough until you see that little thread and you can just cut it. Once you cut it, sis, you good. You gonna get everything off. Everything gonna be off just like this. You see? Boom. Off. What happened? This is how it looks when everything is off the cap. Don't mind the little holes because I had to cut some little holes, but we got all the hair out and that's what that matters. But this is the new cap, and we finna go ahead and sew in this closure first. I like to always sew in the closure first, so therefore everything else will be sewing into the closure. So not necessary into, but you know, everything will just blend in after you sew, and you will know where to sew, and you won't have to be doing everything at the end. Some people like to do their closures at the end, some people like to do it in the beginning. I'm the one in the beginning. So let's go ahead and pin this bad girl down so that we can get her nice and right in the right position where I want to sew her at, so it can look crispy. Alrighty, so as you can see, I have pinned the front. I have put one in the middle, one on each side, and now I'm putting one in the middle in the back and one on each side in the back as well, so that we can get that nice and sharp line that I need, so that I can go ahead and sew this bad girl down, honey, so she could be looking crispy like I said. All right, quick checkup real quick, just to make sure I can go ahead and sew. Yes, I can. So watch me sew this bad girl down. Now, how I sew the closure, I make sure I sew going outwards and not inwards. So what that means, I am sewing on top of the closure instead of going underneath the closure. I'm on top of the closure and going to the cap. So I sew into the closure first, into the cap. So that's how I get my thing on, okay? For me, I think it's better like that. I don't know, especially when you want to reuse the cap too. But this is how it looks when it's done. When I'm done sewing everything down, this is how it looks. Now, mind the little threads in the back. I had to sew up the cap so that it can fit my client hair. Now, I don't have her exact measurements to her head, but I know her cap size, so I had to go ahead and sew my cap to her cap size to make sure that it fit nice and sweet. All right, let's go ahead and begin sewing these tracks because it's just time. Now, please do not sew on that band. Sew right above the band, please. Your client's gonna be trying to stretch her damn cap, and it's not gonna be able to stretch, because you know why? You done sewed the band. You done sewed the whole band. So we want to make sure we're not sewing the band, so that we're leaving the possibility for your cap to stretch. Because if the client cap cannot stretch, Oh no, that's bad. I don't know. Her hair gonna be tight or whatever. Whatever the case you did to that cap, is not gonna be able to stretch. And we need flexibility and stretchabilities, if that's even a word, in our caps. Okay. So how I sew, I make sure in the beginning of the track, I go through the track about 3 times to make sure that I get a tight grip. And then the rest, I'll just kind of like not go necessarily through the track itself, but go underneath the track and kind of make knots so that it's tight in. So just in case, the reason why I did this and the reason why I was taught this was just in case if we're trying to reuse the tracks, we can go ahead and cut through the tracks. The only thing that we need to cut through really is that beginning, and the rest will be easy because it will slide right through. It just makes it easier for you to take out your tracks pretty much. And I was taught that. And a great tip to make sure that you're sewing in a straight line, what you can do is, you're gonna see here in a minute, I pin that track down on one side, on both sides, and just to make sure I'm getting a straight line. So right now the other side is pinned, and right now I just unpin this side so that I can make sure that I'm starting at the point where I want to start, and I'm making sure that I'm sewing in a straight line. This definitely helps you to keep your tracks where it needs to be, where you want it to sew it down. It helps you a lot. So that's one of the tips of sewing. When you're on a track, you're gonna need some pins, especially if you're a beginner. You can definitely use some pins so that it can help you with sewing down your tracks where it needs to be. Also, I don't like to sew too tight, so that's another reason why I sew the way how I sew, because you still want to give that band or the cap the ability to stretch. So that one knot at the beginning is enough. Trust me, it's enough to hold the cap. It's enough to hold the tracks on the cap. Everything else you can sew underneath the cap, and it will help the wig to look more like natural and better with the head. It won't be too super tight. It'll feel like a wig that them Chinese made, period. So I'm just going ahead and just continue sewing these wigs. I don't know if you guys tired of hearing me talking, so I'm gonna just pause real quick so you guys could just kind of see what I'm doing. Hey y'all, I'm back real quick. You see this part right here? You don't want to sew where those black threads, that line at, you don't want to sew on that as well. So make sure y'all is not sewing on that, because that is part of your band and that's what makes it stretch. The way how I sew it on it to make it a little bit more strength to the size, I can definitely go ahead and show you guys a video so that you guys know how to go ahead and smaller up your caps if you feel like you have a bigger cap, but please do not sew on that. All right, so I'm gonna let y'all guys continue watching what I'm doing. See you guys in a little bit. Now, do you see the finished look? The finished look to that sew-in. Yes, 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 yes. It is done. So now it's time to cut the extra cap. This is how the inside of the cap look. And we need to go ahead and cut that extra cap because it don't need to be there. We need to give naturalness. If you leave that cap there, you're just gonna give wiggy. So go ahead and make sure you cut that extra cap in the middle so your thing won't look wiggy and it look more natural on the top. Alrighty, so now what I'm gonna do, because this is like an older wig, I'm gonna go ahead and give it like a touch up. I'm gonna go ahead and re-bleach it, re-bleach the knots so that it can look more natural, nice, you know, just giving body, yada yada. Let me stop, y'all, but let me go ahead and put some of this goddamn developer inside of the mixer. It's like I'm cooking, but make sure y'all spread. Make sure you spread it through the lace. All right, and we gonna come back in the next 30 minutes. Leave it there. Alrighty, so this is how it looks after I took it out the developer. It looks natural and nice. Just gonna go ahead and give it some blow dry. I didn't show the BioSilk, but you guys all should know what the heck is BioSilk, especially if you're a hairstylist. But I put some of that BioSilk in that thing, and it was like voila magic, voila magic. I'm gonna let y'all go ahead and enjoy it though. Oh, you mad? Bitch, you hot. Jump in the freezer. Wow. Got you bum bitches, now you know me. But my bitches, yeah, we all